All right, good morning, good afternoon. We've got another great webinar for you guys today, hosted by Andy Starnes of Insight Training and sponsored by Seek Thermal. Today's topic is on rules of TIC use and search. Got a really good one for you. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Andy.
Thank you, Brent. So we're going to get started. We're going to talk about some interesting concepts and topics today. Our goal today is to help firefighters use thermal imaging cameras in the search practice. Whether they're searching for fire or searching for victims. We want to give you some simple rules, some concepts, some things to consider. By all means, these aren't always or never, but there are certain things that we want you to consider that would directly impact your use and your efficiency of these cameras in that environment. So your objectives today are pretty straightforward. What are the contraindications? Because thermal imaging cameras don't do everything. There's a lot of misnomers and misinterpretations of that, especially in search. Two areas I see them misused the most are search and overhaul, which is where everybody says they use them, which is quite interesting. We're going to offer some tips for successful implementation because we don't want to just give you problems, we want to give you solutions. And probably the one I'm most passionate about is rules for victim identification. Because if any problem we have right now in the fire service is a big issue with the artificial or fake smoke, and heated mannequins are using live victims, produce false positives in firefighter training, which we will talk about. So those are things we're going to cover. So I hope you're ready for the ride. So let's start off with the basics. A thermal imaging camera will not help you, period, if you are not fundamentally sound in searching. I will not put a thermal imaging camera in a firefighter's hands if they cannot search properly without one. We have to have our basics of fundamental search, how we work together, how we communicate, and as we like to talk about, good search posture. This is a great video from when we were at Bridgeport Fire Expo with two JAM firefighters moving through the room in the tripod position. There is value in sets and reps without live fire, ladies and gentlemen. So like pulling hose, doing all that, work together, get this stuff dialed in before you turn the lights off. And if they're fundamentally sound in that, then we start to amp up the stress a little bit and move forward. Add the camera in. It's a force multiplier, as my friend David Hinojosa said. It's not something that you should always rely on, but it's a definite benefit to you, the victim, and your fellow firefighters. So let's talk about some basic tips. If you remember a while back, we had a thermal imaging tips for success webinar. And these were the 10 things that we told you that if you use these tips wisely, they will help you be successful on the fire ground. They can lead to success or failure. And believe it or not, the first one is you have to carry the darn thing. Yeah, that's what I said. You have to carry it. It gets left on the truck as much as 50% of the time. Firefighters forget it. It's not mounted in the right place. They don't have an adequate way of carrying it. You can go to our YouTube channel and see some of our social media posts on that. And then the other issue is they turn it on when they're at the door, or right when they're going to do the task. Every camera on the market needs adequate time to warm up and go through a process called flat field correction. It may turn on in 5 seconds or 15 seconds, but it's not really ready for about 30 seconds. If you listen to it when you turn on, you hear it clicking, see the screen freezing, it's calibrating itself. It's like me and the alarm clock in the morning. The alarm clock goes off, my eyes open, but I'm not ready for business yet. Give it a second. The best way to do that is turn it on while you're on the truck and make sure that the batteries are good to go. And if you're using something like an Attack Pro VRS, you can easily switch it to survey mode before you come off the truck, so you're not doing buttons on the way to a 360 or when people are screaming and yelling. Biggest thing we see that firefighters don't do, and that's more of the organizational fault, is they don't provide training on the device. The survey that was done with Firehouse Magazine showed that less than about 1 hour was the average of what most firefighters got. And all the ones that received that 1 hour, over 59% of them did not receive live fire training. The first word in that camera is called thermal. If you're not using heat, you're doing them a disservice. You have to see how the device performs in low, moderate, and high heat environments and show them environments where it doesn't work well, like sprinkler head environments where you have high moisture content, working above the fire. Show them a full exhaust, show them the camera fogging up. And that leads us to our next point, which is you got to learn to scan properly. There's a lot of misinformation about scanning. We even taught it improperly for years because that's the way we were taught. We were taught to scan high to low. That will get you hurt. Scan high, you may die, is what I like to say. We start the scan low for a specific reason. Thanks to Firefighter Rescue Survey, we know that almost 50% of victims are found 4 foot and down unless they're in a bunk bed. Plus, most cameras work better in the cooler environment, so we get life, layout, then fire. And then we stay low. That's a huge issue. Firefighters standing up in full exhaust, constantly wiping their face piece and not leading to point 6, which is wiping the lens. If the front of the device fogs up with moisture, smoke, or particulate, the camera will produce a gray or white screen. Hence, firefighters say it whited out on me. New cameras haven't whited out since 2013 due to heat. You experience whiteout, you have moisture on the lens, radio frequency interference, or you experience the gain change issue, which is common in 2 different manufacturers right now. It's just between high and low sensitivity, which causes the screen to produce a white momentary pause, which firefighters outrun because they scan like Luke Skywalker in a lightsaber. Slow down. As my friend Chief Mitchum says, take seconds, win minutes. Scan slow, work fast. And I got to be able to interpret that data properly. We're not thermographers. We don't have 30 minutes to analyze the image. You got seconds. So in other words, if you're not looking at videos, looking at slides, and studying thermal imaging video on a regular basis, you will have no idea what it looks like in the heat of the battle. You need to be studying what your camera shows and what it looks like in those environments, what a bed looks like, a hallway, a hose line, door frame, all of that, when it shows color, when it doesn't, what convection currents look like, if it changes between high and low sensitivity, what does the triangle look like in the upper left-hand corner? Is it small? Is it large? Is it easy to see? Or is it not easy to see? And more importantly, fast is your camera? How clear is your camera? Your camera needs to be simple, it needs to be fast, it needs to be clear. And don't over rely on the device. That's probably one of the other side of the coin is people over rely on it, they stare on it, they can't function without it. That's a no-no. Because then you find yourself in trouble when it fails because it's electronic and it will fail. I promise you. I've used every brand, every model, and I have made every single one of them break. Some of them my fault, but nonetheless, they've all failed over time because they are electronic and they're in a high heat environment, and eventually they'll get fed up with the way we treat them. And then we got to know the limitations. These devices do not see gas temperatures, they're not x-ray vision, and they are not thermometers. Biggest issue in the fire service right now that I answer at least one email or phone call or message a day is firefighters think these devices are calibrated to measure temperature accurately. I even get one saying, hey, our camera and this camera, they're same model. This one says it's 82 degrees. This one says it's 72 degrees. We need to have them calibrated. No, straight out of the box, they can be off as much as plus or minus 36 degrees per the ANSI standard. So when you add variables to that, they can be several hundreds of degrees off. They're qualitative in nature. They are designed to see heat differences, and give you, so in ways of thermal patterns, and give you diagnostic information like the pathway to the fire, the bedroom, the hallway, things of that nature, which leads you into using it tactically in size up, search, making entry, fire attack, RIT, all things emergency services. You should look both ways before you cross the street by using the infrared camera to see the things that you can't see because we can't see heat. That's a 1-hour webinar summarized in 4 minutes. I hope that was valuable to you. Now let's talk about contraindications. If I teach anything, I've got to teach people what these devices won't do because they'll figure it out on their own, then they'll blame you. I've learned that in 16 years. Oh, you didn't tell me it did that. That's your fault. I know. It's all my fault. Just ask my wife or daughter. It's all my fault. So biggest thing is, gentlemen and ladies, TIC scans don't replace fundamental search efforts. I hope you caught on to that when I showed you the first video. We got to be fundamentally sound and add technology to it. It enhances what we do. It allows us to do things more efficiently, by giving us directions to it, but we shouldn't be staring at it. And we should not scan a room and go, oh, the room's clear, we don't need to search it. That's a huge no-no. Point number 2, thermal imaging cameras will not always see or detect the victim based on number of variables, body temperature, background temperature, and the camera itself. So we will go into those in depth, but you need to know you may not see the victim, but you may see where the victim might be. Like you see the bed, the wall, the path between there and the doorway, and you use that data like we talked about from Firefighter Rescue Survey, triangulate, find those points, search those first, and move out. Because we know that most of them are found in bedrooms, hence I'm going to a bedroom, and I'm searching where they might be at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna be in the bed. And if I got up, I'm gonna pass out from smoke somewhere alongside that bed. And then TICs can enhance search efforts or detract from them. The difference is the person holding the device. If you use it to get information quickly and put it down and move, you will move faster. If you stare at it, pick it up every 3 feet, you will be one of the people that my search friends that hate TICs talk about all the time. We hate them because the students stare at them all the time. I agree, they shouldn't stare at them all the time. It's just like our phones, tablets, and technology. We should use it to help us, not hinder us. And probably the biggest thing that we see is just general laziness, which we're all guilty of if we're honest, is standing up or moving while staring at the TIC can lead to disaster. Depth perception issues, missing victims, missing critical information. Look at it, put it down, and then move. Whether you're walking from a size up, whether you're moving in a building, get down. You see better when you're low. There's always an air gap somewhere. Trust me, I found some pretty nasty environments where I think I couldn't see, and I found pockets where I've got low enough and been able to find something. You just have to be cognizant of it and use your training and calm down. Read the smoke, read the air track, use the camera to get in that pocket. Don't stand up and don't move with it in front of your face. I've got some great photos in here. Pay attention where they came from, everywhere from Firemax to Michael Rauch to JB Photo. These are some great photos shared from some wonderful photographers. Well, the majority of them are from them. So I want to give credit to them as we move forward. And when I talk about TICs don't replace search efforts, that also means not a half search, half scan. This video, you'll see a firefighter come through the doorway. He'll scan straight ahead and turn right. He doesn't scan the whole room. I've seen firefighters stick the camera straight forward, go, fire straight ahead, go. I'm like, no, absolutely not. You missed the victim below you. You missed the bedroom to the left of you. So look, take your time, get the information, then haul butt and go do your job. But don't scan a room and goes, oh, it's a bathroom, we don't need to search it. What if they're behind a closet door? What if they're inside behind the shower curtain or glass shower door? The other issue is victims can blend in, be hidden, covered up, not visible through the eyes of the TIC. And these inadequate scans, as you'll see here, can lead to bad outcomes. Tell me if you can see that victim. I couldn't. Comes through the door, picks up the camera, stands from the right straight ahead, puts it down, doesn't check behind the door, searches the actual couch, moves there, checks around the couch, and then says, okay, I'm done. Moves down the hallway and puts his hand on the victim. Of course, we stop him and go over it, but that's not an adequate search. That's half of both. So we have to be fully in and know how to search and know how to scan properly. And here's why the environment can make a big difference. Whether your distance or the environment itself can affect image clarity. My guys took these pictures in mile high. And if you look, this is 24 feet, 12 feet, 6 feet, and 3 feet. And you notice when we look down at the first end of the container, you see a dark area. You can't really tell what that is. So when in doubt, we should check these things out. So look, you get at 12 feet, you can clearly see a pile of something, but you don't know what it is. Like 6 feet, it's a blanket. And if you look really closely at 6 feet, you can tell there's two baby dolls there. One of them, which is not my favorite, it's the Shrek baby doll. That doesn't look like a baby, whereas we typically get baby dolls from Walmart or Target that look like real babies. So at 3 feet, you can clearly tell that is a victim. So the farther away we are, the less effective we are in our scan and image clarity. You need to know how far your camera can see in a fire, not what the manufacturer says in the manual. The manual says they can pick up things at 900 feet. Try that in a fire. You're lucky if you get 15 to 20, based on optical density of smoke, condensation, all the other variables, your resolution quality, field of view, if you have gain change issues or moisture on the lens. You need to know the limitations of your camera before you search for a victim and not blame the camera for something we didn't know in the first place. Here's your side-by-side comparison, 24 feet, 12 feet. You can see that at 12 feet, we're much more effective. We show students in our class, it's around 12 to 15 feet that they can discern or pick out things, which NFPA actually points out in 1801. It says you need a 320 by 240 camera to pick out a small child's hand at approximately 15 feet. I wonder why they did that. And at 6 feet, we can see that's a blanket, and I think that's a baby, which means, okay, put hands on it, and there's two babies. One's a baby doll, and one's a mannequin baby doll. So we can tell the difference. We can get in there and search, but we still need to use the camera to enhance what we do. Say, I need to go search that space. I don't need to pick the camera up when I'm right on top of it, because a lot of cameras cannot focus at 3 feet. TIC's the only manufacturer that allows you to focus in at 12 inches. But think about when you pick it up and look at something that close, you are seeing just what's in front of you and not left and right of you. Very difficult to scan when you're that close to an object. So we teach people to scan from doorways, inside the doorway, not in the room 2 feet from the bed. This is the video showing that, some different mannequins in this case. As you see, there's something down at the end of the container. This is an Attack Pro for reference. There's that gray-white thermal layer. One of my instructors walking down there. You'll see he'll stand in the way briefly and then move to the side. You can clearly see the floor, the couch, the wall, the thermal layer, the cooler area down low. You see that door or window at the back there, and you see which appears to be some type of victim, one of our very not so realistic mannequins we have. And you see that is a mannequin along with some other things there. But we couldn't see that clearly until we got on top of it. How about we say, that is something I need to go search. Go put your hands on it. TIC led you to that, but not told you not to search it. Another issue people are not aware of is what I call washout. In UAS and thermography in general, they call it beware of bland scenes, where you have the same temperature or uniform temperature environment, and you have very little contrast. The further away you get from something, the more it blends in. If you notice, these firefighters, we took pictures of this in Virginia Department of Fire Programs Train to Trainer recently. They come down this very narrow hallway. It's approximately 16, 17 feet. And you notice as the firefighter gets to the end of it, the two firefighters at the end tend to wash out. This could be due to uniform temperatures, and it could be to moisture on the lens, because we were operating above the fire, which is the worst place to be, and high moisture content too. So watch out for washout, because you may not see something and it can still be there. So if you're really encouraged about this so far, we'll move forward, because a lot of people are like, aren't you going to tell me how the camera's going to help me? I will. I got to warn you first. These things are, magic wands. People put a lot of faith in them, not knowing that they do great jobs in certain areas, and in certain areas they don't work as well. So, and now let's get into that fun stuff, the tips for successful implementation. First thing I can teach anyone is proper scanning techniques. If they're carrying it, they've got to have proper scanning techniques, and they've got to scan low to high. IFSTA in their essentials manual just changed it a couple years ago, where they actually recommend the camera starts low for a variety of reasons. Cooler environment, victims are found in the lower 48-inch most of the time, and if you're using a standard high and low gain camera, they work better in that cooler environment as far as the image clarity. You also find that pistol grip cameras can easily be turned sideways, like in this video from our friends from Bears the Oath. You can clearly see floor to ceiling in one shot. And because of mixed gain mode in the seat camera, we're able to focus in the cooler areas and the hotter areas simultaneously. In this case, we can see the fire, and we could use the camera to direct our stream based on we see it coming from the right to the left, and that poor ceiling fan's had a bad day. And if you're holding the gangster grip and you need to see the ceiling or see more of the floor, simply twist the throttle to rotate it up or down. Don't raise up in the exhaust. The germanium windows, believe it or not, most of them are rated to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. They don't like heat either. And the hotter they get, it slows down the energy to the TIC. So staying low is a benefit to you and to everyone else, including the thermal imaging camera, and helping you see better so you can make this assessment, communicate it, and put the camera down. Go to work, okay? And this is a great example of where the gangster grip wins. We took this video recently in our North Metro Train to Trainer in Colorado, where about 7 departments attended. And this is at South Adams County's facility. Watch when we rotate the camera. Boom. With mixed gain mode, it auto adjusts to the amount of temperatures there. And if you noticed, right about here, the victim is darker. And then when we get the full field of view in there, the victim lightens up because of mixed gain mode, and we can see the victim clearly. And a lot of people never notice that there is a victim in that next room in the floor, that white blob that can't tell what it is. Well, we knew what it was because we put them in there. That's directly above the fire next to the stairs where the full exhaust is, which we'll show you some examples here shortly. But we can focus in on one victim when there's actually 2. So make sure, as they say, expect victims when you're searching. Make sure you capture everybody and you finish that search. If you search that corner of the room and you've got that victim and drug them out, that search is not done. We need to finish that. If you can drop the victim off in the front yard to medic and allow them to do CPR while you finish the search, that's preferred, but I know that's not always the case for everyone. So let's talk about the scanning techniques, do's and don'ts. Number 1, we have a free video from instructor Joey Baxa right here in the QR code that goes over the do's and don'ts and how we recommend you scan. We've got this great photo from Michael Rauch from Germany when we were at IFRT. Shout out to my friends at IFRT. See the IFRT sticker on the TAC Pro there? We need to get low first and read the smoke and sweep inside the doorway and call out. You didn't hear me say thermal imaging camera there, did you? No, we use our training before technology, our eyes, our voice, our senses. And then we use the camera to do our first scan. Keep this in mind. Your first scan will always be your best scan because you are outside of that environment. Once you get in it, you're not promised light smoke, heavy smoke, high moisture, CrossFit gym burning with tractor tires. I don't know. I can't control those variables, but I can tell you if I'm below that air track in the intake below the neutral plane that I can see with my eyes and the camera. And when I pick that camera up, I pick mine up with my right hand and I wipe it with my left hand, my non-dominant hand. I learned the hard way that if I picked it up with my left hand and wiped it with my right hand's always down because I'm crawling in a tripod position. I'm putting my hand in the muck, the insulation, the dirt. Then I pick it up, try to wipe my face piece and wipe the lens. Yeah, that don't work too well. So the left hand doesn't get used as much. Still going to be dirty, but less dirty than that right hand. So pick up the TIC, wipe the lens with your non-dominant hand and scan wall to wall. You have to be inside the doorway, not outside, low in the gangster grip orientation, and then rotate from wall to wall, not just your shoulder to shoulder, because we will miss something. And then I rotate it back across the ceiling, making sure I'm not in a full exhaust, read the thermal layer, read convection, because convection can tell me direction. And that's a free video for you to go over it at your leisure. We appreciate you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. That would help out my daughter's college fund greatly. So when we talk about TIC scanning sequence, we've done those things. We've done our scan. Here's the hard part. We have to communicate. Yeah, you heard me. That's the most difficult and most poorly done thing on the fireground. Our skills could use improvement, but I can promise you, communication is one of the top 5 killers of firefighters, marriages, corporations, and teams. Every year. Because if you don't communicate well, it doesn't work well. Here's what we want to discourage. Don't scan a room and start calling out, I got a bag. I got some pretty flower drapes. Looks like they got a king size poster bed and they got a chest. I don't care. This is not a tour of a realtor tour of a home. We are looking for life, fire, and layout, or life, layout, and fire, as we say. So we teach an acronym called TED. What type of room is it, and where's the direction you want me to go? So if you say bedroom, crib, right, I'm gone. Or if I'm a rookie and I don't know what a 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock or don't even know my right from left, I show them. See that crib over there? Go. And then I figure out the direction of egress if they need it. Like, can I close the door, like the search study says, and open the window and produce good ventilation for the firefighters so they can see with or without the TIC and get the victim out. And your scan should be done at each entry point, like from the doorway, then that entry to the next room, hallway, because that way it avoids this problem. Do not look at the TIC while you're moving. That's probably the biggest issue I see is firefighters move 3 to 5 feet, stop, pick up the camera. I need to pick out my target point, move with speed to that, searching as I move towards it and get to that point. And if I can see, here's an epiphany, I may not always need the TIC. Shocker, right? But it may be necessary, may not be, but do yourself a favor, take a quick look. There's been some issues found by firefighters, such as energized sources and things. Even though I saw it with my eyes, I didn't realize it was energized. There's been all kind of hazards identified by simply looking through these wonderful devices just for a few seconds so we can make a difference. And this is our acronym that you will hear about if you take one of our search classes. My lead instructors in that, Thomas Anderson and many others, Joey Baxton, all the guys who they like to call themselves the fun house. They think the truck guys are fun and the engine guys are not. We argue about that, but I digress. I want you to learn to scan for life, layout, and fire, and communicate. Type of room, egress points, direction of travel. In many cases, we just call out type of room, direction of travel. Living room, search right. Child's room, crib right. Victim, 12 o'clock, right? That's important, right? So this great photo from Joey Baxa from JB Photo when we were at Virginia Department of Fire Programs in Henrico County, you've got very little visibility in front of you, but with a camera, you can see the thermal layer and you can see there's a doorway to the left. We're just simply moving to that next point. It pays to know where to go. So this is very valuable, very simple, straightforward, 3-word phrases, win the day. You don't believe me? Study the fire service, study the book called The Talent Code, and look at other things. Anything that 3-word phrases usually stick in our brain. That's why we say victim 3 times, why we say Mayday 3 times, why we say things like live fire layout, life incident property, ICS. This stuff is really sticking. How about a CAN report? Conditions, actions, needs. Beer report, not a drink the beer, a brief incident, report. We have these 3-word or phrases embedded in our service, and we haven't studied the why. So some further rules of TIC search. Yes, you got to carry it. And the reason I'm very adamant about that is a lot of them just pick it up. They don't have a connection point. Whether you use a retractable strap or whether you're using a leather strap or webbing, make sure it works for you and make sure the connection point to the camera and to you is not going to come loose and fall off or become an entanglement hazard. Make sure you turn it on before you get to your task. Turn it on the truck. That gives you, information the battery's good. A lot of these cameras, such as some other models, you can't change the battery or you can't change the battery without a tool. So you want to wait to the front door and realize, oh, I can't use this. The battery's dead and it takes 6 hours to recharge it. Ugh. Or I need a T20 screwdriver to change the battery, and that's back at the truck 300 yards away. So don't do that. Make sure you're ready. We preach readiness, but somehow this one gets left out. And remember what I said, your first scan, maybe your best scan. One of my instructors, Sam Adams, tells a great story of a go-get-em firefighter who went in about 10 feet or so and didn't allow him to do his scan. So he got in behind him, and the guy's flowing. He says it's getting hotter, and he's like wiping his lens. He can't see, wiping his mask. He's like getting mad at me because I told him he'd wipe his lens, he'd be able to see. And he turns around, looks back, and looks at that doorway, and he's like, oh, it's clear back there. Backs up 10 feet, dots down, looks, and goes, oh, fire's to the right. We're flowing straight ahead. That's all it took. So wipe the lens, scan low to high, and if you're moving, ladies and gentlemen, you're moving. You don't drive down the road and stare at your cell phone. At least I pray you don't. That's one of the reasons we see people wrecking. So don't move through an ideal H environment with something that has a very narrow field of view and depth perception issues and could turn off and you not know where you are. Here's why we wipe the lens. Check it out. Before and after. Pretty straightforward, huh? Look at that image on the left. Pretty grainy, grayed out. We teach a 3-wipe methodology. You wipe the lens, you wipe your face piece, and you wipe the display in that order. We've tried it numerous ways. We tried to wipe the face piece, wipe the lens, wipe the display. Guess what? Wise Captain in Topeka said, you have to wipe your face piece again and again. So make it productive, make it simple. You pick it up, wipe the lens, wipe your face piece, wipe the display. LMD, right? Lens, mask, display. Boom. Move on. Develop a habit that leads to success. This is very easy, and easy breezy makes things simple. Here is the video. Check it out. We're in a container doing our fancy thermal rebound drill. We spray a small amount of water and show how ineffective that is and show you the heat return. Keep in mind the box is closed up, the doors are closed. Notice what's happening to our image in a matter of seconds. The fire is not going out. Moisture and smoke are building up on the lens. Joey Baxter, one of my lead instructors, is just going to reach over and wipe the lens. Boom. Wow. That's like turning your windshield wipers on. Is it perfect? No, because you're in an imperfect environment. It's the worst environment in the world for thermal imaging cameras to be placed in, but we've had them in there since the late 90s, and they've made major improvements like this one. So why not make it more efficient by helping the camera do its job? That's what we want you to do. What about this one? Well, what happens when I can't clear the lens? I'm constantly wiping, it doesn't clear. Number one, if you're wiping your face piece and wiping the lens constantly, where are you? You're either too high physically, like standing up, or you're in a full exhaust. Look at this. This is entry for fire attack. Do you think they're flowing adequately right here? We just took this video last week. When the nozzle is not on target, you get a full exhaust. What do you think that's doing to his face piece right there? Watch what happens when we step into the stairwell between here and the target entry point. How clear is that image? We are in the chimney. It is beating us up. And we're standing up. That's why the lens won't clear. See how foggy and messy and you can't see. And then we step down below and wipe the lens. Wow, there's the fire. We're out of the flow path. Somewhat. I can't say always, but see the convection currents moving over their head? They're moving from the fire back towards them. They start flowing water. Well, we're working off hydrant pressure, so we didn't have enough pressure here. But you can clearly see which way it's moving, high pressure, low pressure, hot to cold, right? Pretty straightforward. But when we were in that exhaust, we couldn't see, because this is why we couldn't see. These are the stairs where we're just at. I want you to look when we back up and look at the stairwell itself. That's what's moving up the stairs. That's the chimney, a unidirectional flow path. That's what kills firefighters every year. Those 10 to 15 firefighters that they gloss over and say, oh, not that many, nobody died searching, nobody died in fire attack. I beg to differ. We die on the fire ground due to overexertion and cardiac stress, 53% of us. And then about 10 or so die actually in a fire environment due to a variety of reasons, and this is one of them. So if you don't think 10 or 15 matter, you need to go work at Walmart, because Walmart, you're not going to die there. This, you could die. And you need to recognize that numerous firefighters are burned each year who fail to recognize grayscale convection currents as a threat. And the absence of color is not the absence of heat. What we don't see can hurt or kill us if we ignore it. Because many cameras show colorization late, and if you're in an exhaust, you won't see color till those surfaces heat up. That's hot. Trust me, I was sitting there. It's not a fun place to sit. So let's talk about rules of TIC search, what we're searching for. We got two things primarily. We're looking for fire, or we're looking for victims. So if we're looking for victims, we need to identify target areas. Do we need to get greatest thermal threat and work back? Are we trying to get to the bedrooms? That's contextual or circumstantial, in my opinion. It's based on every fire you go to. It may be, you might have to do VES. I don't know. Are we searching for the fire? Remember this, convection can lead to the direction of the fire, and colorization can provide information about what's hot and what's been heated. Look at this great video from Parker, Texas, from the FirePro 300. You can see the convection coming around the corner, moving from hot to cold, with the firefighter staying low out of the way, checking it out through an MSA camera in this particular example. And you can see it moving. It's clear as day. Grayscale convection currents show up beautiful. Convection currents are harder to see, in my opinion, in colorized areas. Color has extreme value for identifying things, but convection is what you should look for when you're trying to find the fire. And this is a great way of identifying it. And SEEK is one of the cameras that shows convection very, very clearly, easy to read. It's like following the stream, okay? Let's talk about color, since we were all talking about convection. A lot of firefighters like myself, I love color on a camera. There are disadvantages to too much color. I've got two slides here. One in TI Basic, the standard fire mode, and the Attack Pro or FirePro 300. But then in survey mode, which colorizes early at 150 degrees Fahrenheit. This is taken in our North Metro or Colorado event. So grayscale can show convection currents more clearly, but also, if you notice, you can see what's below the thermal layer because of that color marking not engaging till 300. Everything below that, I can see the stairs, I can see the firefighter, the hose line, that wall where the burn area is. Where when I go into survey mode, that's great for fire attack. I can say, wow, I need to cool the floor, cool the walls, but for search and identification and egress points, it's very hard to see the stairwells. It's very hard to see if there's any victims there. So what I call investigative color palettes are very valuable for size up and finding fire, but not so valuable when it comes to search. So you need to know which application mode to use. So that's why we talk about investigative mode color palettes should be used early or late, as my friend Mike Chapman used to say. So we would start early with size up, or late in overhaul, or you have a very, very low heat, light smoke environment where you've got no convection, you can't see it anyways. And you look for colorization of areas that might be hot, and you follow the breadcrumbs, as my friend Chad Daly says, or to quote another wise man, Joe DeVito, says there's no reason why we can't find the fire. We follow the yellow brick road. We go black, gray, white, yellow, orange, red to the actual red thing called the fire. Or we can work in reverse to find our way out. So these things have their benefits and they have their disadvantages. It's who's using it and if you're using it properly. And this is the video so you can see the difference. Survey mode to begin with. See how it kind of washes out the firefighter? Wow, he's much clearer now. Now he's kind of, we can tell his gear is not doing so well. And you can see the hose line a little clearer with the TI Basic. So there's benefits to both of these. I think cameras should have a fire and an investigative mode. I agree with Michael Whitty in his research paper. But too much color can be a bad thing, because NFPA requires details within the colorization shall be resolvable up to the point of saturation. However, when you look at a poor mannequin over here in this corner, that kind of blocks everything out for him or her. So you're in trouble. So that's how quickly color can block out details. So I'm gonna ask you a really interesting question. It's kind of philosophical, but it has a very important point when it comes to TIC use data in the modern world we live in. What if we had a higher statistical probability of knowing where fire victims would be found? We had data that said almost 50% of them are in a bedroom. Okay. What if we knew our first due response area well enough to know various layouts of structures, where those bedrooms might be, where the kitchens are, stairs are, all those things that are important to us, because we tour our area, we run medical calls in them, we use medical calls as pre-plans. You ever heard that? Wise firefighter taught me that years ago. Don't get upset about the medical call because you don't like medical. How about using it and say, wow, if we come here in a fire, I never knew they had a back stairs. What if we had a device that allowed us to see the layout and those areas that needed to be searched under fire conditions? So you're telling me that they already have the data, we already know our first due, and the one key component that's causing us to actually slow down and be inefficient in many cases is finding those pathways to the bedrooms because we can't see and we're leaving the camera on the truck 50% of the time. This can be fixed today. Today, ladies and gentlemen, by training and getting out, learning your first due, working on search stuff, and reading this data from Firefighter Rescue Survey and participate in it. It's a voluntary information gathering tool from firefighters nationwide. I love Brian Brush. I love his message where he says, making our metrics match our mission. We're winning. The fire service is rescuing around 10 people a day, approximately. May have went up slightly. I heard they just went to 4,000 rescues. Why don't we use that data to help us help the people we swore to protect? And then take your training and emphasize how to get to those areas, and then take technology to find those areas in difficult situations. Because every organization or every occupation that I've studied that works in the dark, or works underwater, or works in zero visibility or low visibility, uses lighting, uses technology of some kind to do their task. And the Navy SEALs and the special forces all use infrared night vision to take out the bad guy. And we're here to help the good guy. And we either A, won't upgrade our technology, so firefighters are frustrated with the stuff they have, or B, we lack the training and awareness to know to use it in this particular area so that we can benefit those that we swore to protect. Listen, I'm retired and I travel a lot training. If they come to my house to save my family, I don't want them stumbling around in the dark trying to figure out which way is the bedroom. There's 2 bedrooms in this house that I'm very concerned about. My wife's bedroom where she's at and my daughter's bedroom. And I want them to find them. You should do the same. So how do we do that? Whether you know or not, NFPA 1010, the 1001 standard that's changed, requires all new firefighters to have thermal imaging training with prerequisite knowledge and to do 3 things: locate fire and hot spots, and locate a victim in low and zero visibility environments, and they want you to identify fluid level in a container, which I'll get on that subject another day. But let's just focus on the first 2. Let's identify victims. So we got 2 resources for you right off the bat. TIC usage and victim identification article we wrote in Firehouse Magazine. And then this video, we will go into more depth of what I'm going to explain in a minute, the rules of victim identification. If you look at this firefighter crawling towards the fire, we purposely laid this baby doll right by the door every time. And out of the 8 scenarios, 7 of them missed the victim if they looked with the camera first, because the baby doll blended in with the superheated area because it got hot. You're like, well, why did it do that? Because of 3 variables. The background temperature, is it hot or cold in there? If it's fire, it's probably going to be hot, but is it hotter than the victim's body temperature? Because if it's cold environment, the victim could show up white hot, like many people were trained. If it's a hot environment, the victim could show up differently, because it depends on whether the victim is alive, deceased, covered up, is their skin even exposed, or are they burned up? Believe it or not, that makes a difference. We've got pictures and videos of that, sadly, to show the difference. Ask some arson investigators from forensic investigations what they look for. And then the other side of this is, what kind of camera are they using? Are they using a situational awareness camera or decision-making camera, or an antiquated older camera? These lower resolutions, 9 hertz cameras should not be used for searching for victims. 9 hertz will hurt you. You heard me say that. It will cause you to slow down. It will take 4 to 5 seconds when a gain changes, switches from high to low sensitivity. You don't have the luxury of time, neither does the victim. You need high resolution, simple, fast, clear cameras that keep up with you. And is your camera in high or low sensitivity? TIC uses mixed gain mode, so you don't have to worry about it. It does it automatically. But many cameras, when they shift to low sensitivity, one, there's a delay. Two, some of them darken down the areas where the victim might be. So if I'm pointing it high all the time, that area down low just shows up dark. And I don't even see the victim. I just drug a hose line across. And my personal worst thing about thermal imaging cameras is wrong application modes. There are many camera manufacturers that offer thermography-based color palettes that have nothing to do with fireground stuff, such as rainbow, iron bow, black hot, fire and ice. Those are not designed for high heat environments and will cause more problems than solutions. They will block out pertinent details, and firefighters will miss important things that could cause injury or worse, such as, let's talk about background temperature and how that affects things. This is a standard fireground color palette known as TI Basic. You want to learn more about it, check out NFP 1801. In this, if the environment is over 200 degrees, like this one is, it's between 3 and 575. We don't know how much. That's an apparent temperature. Reading the color palette. A victim may be difficult to see because of washout due to colorization, or they may be grayed out. And many cameras, if they're in low sensitivity at this point, equals lower detail in those cooler areas, even though the victim may appear darker gray. In this case, the baby doll is starting to saturate with heat. This is just inside the door on the way to the fire room at the Mile High Firefighters Conference. Highly recommend you go to that. But that's how easy you could miss a victim with the camera, whereas if you look first when you enter the door, you might see them with your eyes. Whereas if we watch this firefighter, I want to show you why colorization can block out detail. Check this out. And you wonder why we damage our gear lighting fires. Watch. Goes in, throws some straw. He disappears. Poof. Comes out. How much heat is he taking? Grabs some more straw. Goes back in, disappears. Simple, big open room. By the way, his reflective striping melted. I wonder why. That's what colorization can do from a negative side. Let's look at an actual high heat search evolution and how we use the camera to our advantage. They locate the area where the fire is, they move to that area, they can't isolate it, so they search as quickly as they can in that superheated area, and they work their way back, and they quickly locate a victim right outside the fire area. That's a live fire trainer who's just sitting there in the way, but they grab the baby, keep it low, and they tripod position out, keeping the airway protected facing down, and move straight out to EMS. A little over 1 minute. That's better than what we see in other areas, okay? So let's talk about temperature, background temperature. Body temperature. Body temperature, victims who've been deceased for some time in the fire environments are known as something called a passive emitter. In other words, we're not emitting energy anymore, so we're like a sponge or your couch. You get up, you see a heat signature on the couch after you get up because it was absorbing your heat. So a victim who is deceased for some time, they will either blend in with the background, or if they're close to the fire, they could heat up depending on their proximity to the heat source. If the victim is alive and their body is attempting to regulate temperature, any exposed skin that is not burned may present as dark in a hot environment. Like I said, if the victim is deceased, they are no longer regulating temperature, they may show up differently. The last one is probably the most important one, which I see more than anything. Depending on the quality of the camera and the background, the victim may blend in, especially if they're clothed or under blankets. You may only see a part of them, a leg, a hand, maybe their face exposed from underneath the blanket, you don't know. But if they're burned, they will also show up differently. So it depends. Make sure you're aware of that. And God help you if you're in a hoarding situation, they can be buried under debris. You could be standing on the victim and not know it. That has happened in numerous cases. So the body temperature is a big variable. And then the camera itself, is it a decision-making camera, situational awareness camera, or my personal favorite, where I was just at recently and saw a camera that was 21 years old. You have a multi-million-dollar burn building, million-dollar fire trucks. You have more money in recliners and TVs. We need to upgrade these. Does it have high and low sensitivity like most dual gain cameras? TIC uses mixed gain. Are we using an improper application mode, such as I'm going to show you survey mode here? And did we fail to wipe the lens? And my personal big ones is we scan too fast, we scan high to low, or we just scan high. and we fail to scan the whole environment. Watch as we walk from one room to the other above the fire. You can see the convection currents coming out of the full doorway, if you pay attention, to the floor. There's the stairwells to the right there. See the paginite? See it all lighting up? Ooh, change your opinion about heat, but you can't really see the detail. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both. Here, they have no idea they're getting cooked. There, they know they're getting cooked, but they can't see as well. So that's why we talk about using those early. We see the problem, fix the problem, not using them late in high heat environments. So these cameras can help you a lot, but those three variables make a big difference in how the victim shows up. We've got these resources for you to use. We highly recommend you do so. So we have the TIC Use and Victim Identification article. We wrote one called the 7 Deadly Sins of TIC Use article, both of those in Firehouse Magazine. And I also have a copy of this presentation already in a Google Drive folder for you. If you'd like to use it, share it with your fire department. And I highly recommend you read the UL study on search and all the data about where you find the victim at and how you get them out. And it talks about taking them away from the thermal threat. And I'm going to leave you with this. How do you know where the greater area of thermal threat is? Your ears, your eyes, because you're basing it on thermal severity, the way you feel under 3 layers of PPE, you could drag them right down a hallway that could kill them. You need to look and determine the best pathway away from the threat that leads to survivability and not to civil lawsuits. Make sure we understand that and stay intelligently aggressive. This is my contact information. My website has a contact us button. That's my actual email address, my phone number, and in all of our social media platforms. We have 14 instructors at Insight Training. We travel around the world training. We train manufacturers. We train fire departments. We help industrial professionals. We help salespersons. We help everyone. Why? Because we want you to win. Non-denominational. We want you to win, no matter what brand camera, no matter what you use, what fire department you work for, what language you speak. We all have the same values. We love our life. We love our family. If you're a firefighter, you love this calling. We want you to continue to be successful in it. We want you to make a difference, and we want you to get home. Thank you for your time today. I think we have a couple things from Brent, but one of the things I want to mention is SEEK has a burn program. If you're interested in trying their cameras out, contact them or contact your local rep. They have one for the Attack Pro currently where you can get one, and they are going to have a new burn program for the Fire Pro 300. That's right. They're going to start sending those out. Details will be coming soon, and I'll hand it over to Brent. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Thank you, Andy. Absolutely. So we've got a great burn program for our Attack Pro cameras. As Andy just mentioned, stay tuned. We are going to be doing free temporary burn cameras for our Fire Pro series line. Another announcement is this month, or really next month, but starting, we're going to have some great deals in the channel for the Attack Pro Plus NFPA certified camera. So if you're in the market for one of those, navigate to the Attack Pro page and request a quote, and we'll get you out to a dealer and get you rolling. So that's all I got. Follow Andy, follow SEEK, and until next time, stay safe out there.
Thank you.